Welcome to the 2022 primary election candidate videos, made possible by a partnership between Collin County Votes, which is an initiative of the Collin County Business Alliance, and the Allen, Frisco, McKinney, and Plano Chambers of Commerce. I'm Leanne Libby, General Manager for Community Impact Newspaper in Plano, and I'm excited to introduce our viewers to Paul Chabot. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. Great to be with you and your viewers across the region.
Thank you. And I forgot to mention you're running for House District 61.
That is correct. 61, yes. Includes about 7 different cities from Frisco, McKinney up north to the county line.
Awesome. All right, well, let's jump right in. So we'll
Great.
start with the first question. In your own words, what is the role of a state legislator?
Role of state legislator is to represent the people and most importantly, to do no harm. Look, it's critical here in Texas that we listen to our constituents, that we hold town halls, and that we represent Texas and the values that make this state so great. So, my role is to fight for freedom here in Texas and make sure that we allow people to have their liberties and work hard every single day in the legislature.
Thank you. So please share with us what are your top 2 to 3 legislative priorities?
Sure. So border security right now is such a critical item here in Texas. My doctoral dissertation was on drug cartels. I worked in the White House for 6 years, helping to target cartels, but in the military 20 years and prior law enforcement. What I'd like to see here in Texas is that we do a state call up, not a national call up, a state call up of the state National Guard here, which we can do through an emergency act and actually secure our southern border. Look, it's a reality that we can do. One of the biggest issues we have in Texas now is drug overdoses are up 30% just from last year, mostly from fentanyl coming over this border. So that's a huge priority. I'd also like to see the construction of toll booths along entry points, 200 yards in on Texas territory, charging vehicles a fee going to and from Mexico to help pay for that wall as well. Voter integrity is really important. We know that as a national issue. Also here in Texas, want to make sure we keep our strong voter ID laws here intact. So those are 2 really important issues. But the third one, as I mentioned, drugs. I want to see all Texas schools that are publicly funded be required to participate in the Texas school survey. Many schools in Texas just don't. Drug usage is at an all-time high throughout Texas and this country. We can't fix a problem unless we acknowledge one exists. We have a huge problem in all of our schools. So I'd like to see the Texas school survey tied to state funding here for all public schools that receive state funding.
Okay, great. Well, so the next question's around growth. We all know Collin County is the fastest growing county in the country, one of the fastest. And so I'd like to know what your thoughts are on the growth to date and what would your priorities be going forward?
Collin County is an amazing place to live. I've been here for 5 years. My family and I escaped California, and we escaped it for reasons because of societal issues of high crime, uh, poor paying jobs. The schools went from some of the best to some of the worst. And so I want to make sure that we keep Collin County strong. Look, people are moving here for the right reasons, and so are businesses. If you look behind me, I run a national company called Conservative Move, helps families move out of blue states to red states. So many of them have relocated here to Collin County. Also, small businesses are making that exact same move. The numbers are pretty significant as well as Texas. Look, we picked up a congressional seat because people are moving here. So there is a trend. And what we want to do is help these families enjoy the Texas dream. They're here for a reason. They're not here to change Texas at all. And so this really is such a great place to live within Collin County. We want to make sure that we keep our schools on top, that we keep crime low, and good paying jobs coming in at the same time.
Well, so you mentioned business, so that's the theme of the next question. What would you see as the top business needs of the community, and what would you do to help meet those needs to ensure continued economic growth?
Yeah, so my business was hurt with the forced government shutdown here in Texas, and I know many businesses that were hurt. So first thing we got to make sure is that we never ever do that again here in Texas. It devastated our business and our family, and for about 6 months, we had no idea if we were going to go bankrupt or what was going to happen. And some of those businesses have still never recovered, and those are here in Collin County as well. Now, certainly the economy is doing better today, but we've got to make sure that we never allow our government agency to shut down our businesses. That harmed families and individuals across this region. Look, businesses want to hire talented people. And there's a huge talent pool that is moving into Collin County. Here's the challenge that I see when all of our families are moving here. We need a much stronger emphasis on job recruitment, on helping to place these high quality workers with our corporations or our small businesses throughout the region. Look, it's real hard to find headhunters today. And we need a better, stronger effort here in Texas. But that's not a legislative priority. That's simply me as a Collin County resident speaking loudly about this as an elected official to help new families and those that are coming here find those good paying jobs, which they qualify for, and an introduction to the employers as well.
So, with all these new people coming, we know one of our big problems is traffic and transportation. And so,
Right.
that is obviously a huge issue facing the county. So, how would you address it?
So I've seen this before. I would just remind Texas not to repeat the failures of what we see in other high density regions around the country. So, look, I'm very concerned when I see 4-story apartments popping up all throughout the region. On one hand, politicians complain about traffic, and people rightfully do as well. But at the same time, you see these 4-story huge apartment complexes going online. It's not that I'm against apartments. Look, I lived in them. We all did at some time, and many of our clients do as well, transitioning out here. But you can't have politicians complaining about traffic and then at the same time voting for more apartments in this region. That is a huge issue. Number two, we've got to avoid other mistakes as well. Look, warehousing is going to be a front and center issue for construction within Collin County. And I would strongly advise our elected officials to be smart about this. There were big failures in California where cities basically rolled out the red carpet for warehouses. Those warehousing jobs don't provide very good pay. They provide high congestion with trucks along the freeways and roadways through the region. We want to completely avoid those messes and be smart about it. Not that we need to eliminate, just be smart about our planning and growth. And the last one is about public transportation. Less people today are taking public transportation in these cities. There was a great study done out of these major metropolitan areas that show less people are jumping on buses and other forms of transportation. So let's be cautious when we think about transportation and needs for Collin County. Look, we want to help seniors and those with disabilities be able to find transportation, but let's not make the same mistakes that we saw in blue cities that caused huge traffic issues. So, look, apartments, elected leaders, talk to your folks. If they're concerned about traffic, let's cut down the 4-story apartments. That, I think, should be priority number one.
Thank you. Okay, so the next question. The business community and many of the organizations representing it have prioritized promoting equity and diversity through hiring practices, programs, and their community investments. So, because Collin County is such a diverse area in every sense of the word, can you talk about what equity and diversity mean to you?
Yeah, I think it's a very divisive topic, to be honest with you. Um, I grew up dirt poor. My dad went to jail. I went through drug rehab. But because of this color of my skin today, I am graded as somebody with privilege, which is so not the case. And so many others feel that way as well. I am shocked today to see these terms being used. And I hope to God in Texas, we don't replicate what we see happening in other states right now, where they are actually looking for the color of people to put on a board or sexuality. Look, that to me is un American. We are a melting pot. We are more divisive today as a country because of radical leftist ideology like those points. Business leaders, chambers, you got to knock it off. That does provides no good. It's divisive. It hurts our community. We got to judge all people equally. I'm so concerned when I hear about these topics today in America. Martin Luther King, I think, would be ashamed to hear such comments. We need to treat everybody equally and fairly, regardless of color. This sort of rhetoric is dangerous to the United States of America, and we've got to knock it off.
Okay, so last question. If you were talking to someone outside of Collin County who was maybe considering moving here or moving their business here, what would be your 30-second elevator pitch to them?
My family and I moved here from a blue state of California to Texas for a better quality of life for our kids. And we found it here. Great schools, great paying jobs, and low crime. But here's the message. When you get here, and so many of you have moved here from other states, share your stories, why you moved here from New York or Chicago or Washington or Seattle, to make sure that you hold your elected officials accountable so they don't try to repeat or institute policies that degraded or devastated the communities. The city of San Bernardino in 1978 was rated the All American City. McKinney has recently, as well as other cities. Today, that city is the poorest, one of the highest crime ridden in the country in just 30 years. So great cities can fall. Let's make sure we don't do that here. Share our knowledge. Let's keep Collin County a great place to live.
Great. Well, Mr. Chabot, thank you so much for taking time today to join us and allowing our voters the opportunity to hear directly from you on the important issues.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for your time and have a great rest of your day.